Well, even the pop singers like Justin Bieber is all tatted up and looking all thuggish.
By the way, I used to think tats were so badass, to be honest. I was like, oh my gosh, tats are so badass. But nowadays, like after trying to get tats, I'm like, this shit's expensive. Fucking like, you're not badass. You're just a fucking rich ass person because tats are like over $1,000 a sleeve. Like that's not badass to me. Like that's rich. I'm like, how much money do you make?
You could do like prison style if you want to, just using a needle and like.
What?
You know the way prisoners get tattoos, like it's
no one is the fucking getting prison tattoos nowadays. I can guarantee you, they're going to some bougie hipster salon.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like they're getting like those fancy tattoos. They're not getting fucking jail tattoos. Like no one's hardcore nowadays. Paris Hilton went to jail, and Martha Stewart. End of discussion. There's nothing hardcore about going to jail.
Well, like these days, you actually stand out more by not having tattoos than being all covered up in them. So, like, it's funny. So, I don't know what perception people have of me, especially women, but most of them, when they see me, like, with no shirt on or whatever, it could be at the beach or whatever, right? The pool. They're like, wow.
Someone's backyard.
I'm actually shocked. I'm actually shocked that you don't have any tattoos. Like, it could mean a couple of things. It could be that maybe they assume most Asian guys would have tattoos as a default, and it's a shock that I don't have any. Or maybe they have an image of me being like kind of a thuggish or a tough guy, and they're surprised that I'm not. Or maybe not that I'm not, but that I don't have that look, the stereotypical look of a tough guy with the tattoos and all that stuff. So it could be they misjudged me, or maybe I portrayed myself in a manner that's not reflective of my true personality. But in any event, they always say that. Like 9 times out of 10, they would say that, which is interesting to me. Like really? Like, not to say that I never wanted or wouldn't consider getting tattoos, because of course I, at some point, was, really wanting to get some, but something just held me back, right? And to this day, I'm glad that I didn't go through with it.
You know what held me back? Money. I'm like, well, first of all, I think the thing is that like a lot of guys get tattoos. Not sorry, but a lot of guys get tattoos to impress women, right? But the thing is that like I'm not into women, so it's like really
other guys aren't impressed by it.
They're all right about it. They could care less, But I think women, they're like, I want a bad boy.
So the ironic thing is for straight guys, the things that they do that they think impress women are actually to impress other guys.
Oh, they do. Oh my, you're right. Yeah. You're fucking right. Because at the gym, it's like they'll stop me to be like, dude, look at his calves. I'm like, why is your comment gayer than mine and I'm the gay guy? Like, how are you more gay than me as a straight man? This is crazy.
And then they work out to the point where it's not even attractive to women anymore. Like, other guys are like, damn, that guy's swole. Yeah, girls ain't saying that. They're like, oh, that guy's too much, right?
Yeah, like, I want a guy who could scratch his back. Like, they're all like, what are you talking about? I'm so swole right now. Oh, my God.
Yeah, some of those guys, they can barely even wipe their butt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
That's crazy. Well, I think there's a difference between looking good and being healthy. Like, I have no problem with people who are really muscular, but I think the main thing is that as long as you're modest, I feel like there's a difference between confident and cocky.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? How do you guys feel about that too as well? Because like for me, I like confident guys, but I hate cocky guys. Even with girls, like I don't want to deal with cocky girls because there are some cocky girls as well.
Yeah, of course. And of course, it depends on how they grew up too, right? So like the hot girls who get coddled and kissed up to their whole lives throughout high school, college. Of course, when they're adults, they might carry some of that. I'm not saying everyone is like that, but some of them are, right? Some of them are very, even if they're hot and smart, they're still humble. So there are a lot of different factors, but I think the ones who rely strictly on looks and they get through life that way, eventually that'll fade, right?
Yeah.
So once they reach the point where they're not as attractive anymore, then kind of their whole life comes crumbling down, right? But
yep. Well, that's what's called karma, bitch. Because like, I'm sorry, like, no, I really think that, like, so I know it sounds super hippie, right? But like, I really think that like energy is a huge part of who we are. And when someone has energy of like being narcissistic or selfish or conceited, like that gets transferred onto them in a really negative way. Like she has to deal with something from the universe hitting her when she doesn't want to hit her that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It can be a lot of negative energy. So like I know that like when I see those people, I'm just waiting for something to hit you. You know? You know, like Regina George from Mean Girls, how like she was really mean to everyone, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh!" and then she got hit by a bus.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, you better watch out, Regina George's, Asian Reginas, Black Reginas, Latin Reginas. That bus is coming for you. that universal bus, the universe's bus is gonna come for you, because I do think there's repercussions to being a horrible person.
Yeah. But I think, well, not just to that point, but just. You know how beautiful people get more benefits in life, right? Even they walk in for a job interview or dating, of course. Just that they get more opportunities in life. Let's just say that.
They do, but I also feel like the problem is that a lot of times, again, like if you have all the money in the world, but you don't know how to appreciate it, that's where there's a problem.
Yeah.
You know? Because a lot of times they're following their beauty, right?
Yeah.
And they're even to stand for not just themselves, but also for others. And it ends up kicking them in the butt because a lot of people who are successful like that, like, let's look at stats, right? And stories. A lot of them are not happy.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but a majority of them are happy.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, when you're prettier, the problem is, or like when you have pretty privilege, the problem is that, like, you get used to this world. So when you get older and, like, you can't rely on your beauty anymore, it becomes overwhelming for you.
Yeah, so you always have to have something to fall back on, right? So
Yeah.
if you are beautiful, don't just rely on that to get you everywhere in life, right?
Yeah.
Get your education, be kind to people, and, you know, when the time comes that you can't rely on your beauty anymore, you have something else to fall back on, right?
Exactly.
But of course, take advantage of it. If you are beautiful, don't downplay or hide it. Just, you know what, I am beautiful.
Well,
just,
I mean,
yeah, don't be cocky. Just like say,
don't be thinking you're better than someone.
No, don't look down on people. But say I got a job because I'm more beautiful. Okay, say I applied at Abercrombie. Okay, I got better abs. I'm better looking than all the other applicants here. Should I feel sorry for them? No, I got the job. I got hired because I have the look they're looking for, right? But of course, I'm not going to look down on them and be a jerk and
Thank you.
Right?
That's all I asked for.
Yeah. But if I get hired, I'm not going to feel sorry that, you know, not sorry that other people didn't get hired, right? I got the job because of what attributes that I bring to the table, and I should be proud of that, right? Yes, having good looks is something you don't have control over because a lot of it is genetic.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, we'll say 50-50 because obviously you have to stay in good shape, you have to work out, do all that, eat well. That counts for looks as well. But if you're talking about bone structure and height and all that's genetic, right? You can't change that. So if I was born with that, if I was born into wealth, whatever I've been given in life, I mean, like I said, don't be a jerk about it, but don't, you know, apologize, right? So if my dad had money, I grew up with money, I'm not going to, you know, feel bad about it. Like it's something that, you know, I inherited, and it's just part of who I am, right? So just use it to your advantage, but like you said, don't look down on other people like you're better than them. Of course you're not, right? But a lot of people, so people often pigeonhole good-looking or wealthy, whatever, people who have more than the average person. Oh, look at that guy, he's such a jerk, he's so cocky. But then, in a way, we're stereotyping them, right? So we're thinking something of them without even knowing them either, right? So it goes both ways. You know what I mean? So I guess.
Well, I'm not gonna lie though. But if you are a really attractive person and you treat people like shit, you're gonna fucking go to hell. I'm sorry. Your pretty privilege is not gonna work in hell.
But see, then again, there's some unattractive people who are jerks too. So
yeah, but I mean they deserve it. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying like either or, like your prettiness is not gonna keep you from going to hell. You're still going to bitch. But yeah, it's crazy. No, I think that you do have to work hard to be humble. I think it's part of our fault too as people, is because a lot of times if we're dealing with prettier people, we'll make excuses for them. You know, we'll maintain that the fact that they're toxic, right? We'll be like, oh, it's okay. I'm like, no, you're a horrible ass person, and what you did was wrong. But most people will not say that because they'll be like, oh, there's too pretty. Who cares? I'm like, no, pretty people should not get away with doing horrible things. You know, just like ugly people should get away with doing horrible things.
It depends on though. See, if they think they're superior just because they're pretty, or they could just be a jerk in general, right? So it depends. Their reasoning, right? So
Yeah.
even this pretty person, they may not be that way just because they're pretty. Maybe whatever other reasons, right?
Yeah.
And you know, everyone has a story, so that's why I don't judge people no matter what, because maybe everyone has a backstory. Like, say this attractive, wealthy
Not
person.
me though. I'm judging. I'm judging hard. If I meet someone who's like narcissistic or says they look better than me, I'll be like, bitch. First of all, hell no. Second of all, you have an ugly ass spirit and soul. So at least I ain't going to hell. It's like, I'll say things like that. Whatever hell comes in your, you know, your religion, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, because everything is relative. Like, say you knew somebody who grew up in Black Hawk, just say some wealthy area, right? So you
See, that's how poor I am. I don't even know what Black Hawk is.
Well,
what the hell is Black Hawk?
well, it's a pretty wealthy area. Let's just say
Okay.
that. Yeah, I don't have anything good or bad to say about it, but it's
Yeah.
just say. Well, I'm just using that as an example. Okay,
I
say
feel
Palo-
actually poor because you just named areas I don't even know about.
Okay, we'll say Palo Alto or Beverly Hills. Okay, there you go. You know Beverly Hills. Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so say someone grew up there and you think, oh man, this guy has it all. Like, you kind of thinking, oh, this rich kid, whatever.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe he grew up. Parents were never there, right? They're probably working or going overseas, making their gazillion dollars. Never there for the kids. Maybe a nanny took care of them, and so things like that, right? So just because they have all this money in the world, you don't know how their family situation is, right? You don't know what kind of trauma they went through as a youth, right? So
Yeah.
it's all relative too. Like, you know how
But you know what? I'm sorry. Even though you've been through trauma, if you're a fucked up person, you're still a fucked up person. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people use that excuse like, you don't know what I've been through. And I'm like, I don't fucking care. You still can't be acting like that and mean towards people. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, so what I say is, when we looked at just regular people without them actually doing something first. If they did something heinous, then yes, then there's no excuse, right? But we're just talking about in general, seeing people on the street, like our opinions of them, right? So a lot of times people will automatically judge people no matter what, right? So they see you as a Thai person, me as a Chinese guy. They already have a thought process about us regardless, right? Some of it may be true based on past experience or based on generalities, but a lot of it could be false, right? So that's why, of course, when you see people, you kind of maybe have a very general stereotype or idea of who they are, but it shouldn't be too detailed. It shouldn't be, pigeonholed like all these people are like that, right? So, for example, if I was in San Jose, Sunnyvale, and I saw a Chinese guy or an Indian guy, I would assume that they're an engineer without even knowing anything about them, right? 90% of the time I'd be right? But things like that, right? Where it's kind of a harmless stereotype, but yeah, if you think negatively of them already, regardless of something, that's a different story. So that's why I guess when people say stereotypes exist for a reason, because that's because.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I saw, have you watched Heroes?
The NBC.
Yeah. I freaking love Heroes. If you're the scientist from Heroes, that Indian guy, you're fucking fine. I'll be like, oh my gosh, put a ring on it. Let's handle this shit right now. I'm gonna marry you. Like, that guy is so fucking fine. So I just assume that all Indian guys are like the guy from Heroes. Super smart, super handsome, super wealthy.
Well, they do say Indians have the highest per capita income out of any ethnicity in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of them are engineers, doctors, right? Even though you watch the news during the COVID times, they always interview a top doctor, and it's usually an Indian guy.
Oh,
have you noticed that?
Yeah, they are really
like on
they are
CNN,
really.
yeah.
So I do. I mean, I think that is something I've thought about before but I just that's hard though, because it's with Asians in general, right? Because they are Asian. But like, if you're like, it's hard being an Asian that's not super duper smart, because I feel like that stereotype is something that we even put on each other a lot of times. Like, you can't be dumb and be Asian. They will get at you so hard. They will get you so hard.
Well, that's among other Asians, right? So you know how, for example, I would joke around, like, say I'm at a restaurant and I'm calculating the bill, and I calculated this.
Should only take you 5 seconds. It takes you 1 5 seconds.
And then
you
people are
spot.
like, "Dude, you're was a dishonorable Asian or a what's the term? A disgraceful Asian. There you go. Disgraceful Asian because you can't calculate this simple math, right? So we laugh it off like it's funny, right? But then it is based on a stereotype that Asians are good at math, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that I'm terrible at math. I'm not great at it. I'm not terrible, so I'm just like in between. But
I don't even know how I got through it, to be honest. Like I'm like, how did I even pass calculus? I don't even know what calculus is. Like I passed calculus. I'm like, how did I do this? Like I think that I was just a drunk kid, and then suddenly I just passed it. And I was like, oh, I'm so smart. And then I was like, I don't know what it means anymore. Like I don't know what happened.
And the thing is, we've never used calculus ever again in our lives, other than that class. Right?
That's true.
Right? Like you take math in college, unless you're an engineer or a mathematician, you're never going to use that math ever again. I never have. Like, when's the last time you did like the sigma sign and all this, derivatives? I don't even remember what that is. Right? So
you're right about that.
Yeah, but I guess in a way it's meant for just to sharpen your mind and to prepare you for the real world, right? Like to get you your brain to be more sharp and functioning. But in essence, none of that stuff is even useful.
I mean, I did it to impress my parents and other Asian people.
Yeah, that's true.
That's probably what I did.
Yeah.
Well, I think I did. I had a really smart white friend, and like everybody was copying off of me. I'm like, I'm copying from my white friend. Like if he's wrong, you're all fucked up. You know what I'm saying? You guys are all screwed.
But this was math class?
That was in math class. That was in math class of geometry.
High school?
Because they were like expect me to be hella smart at math. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go with the smartest white guy, and that's gonna help me out the whole time. It did. I'm sorry. I'm not in high school anymore, so I can say things like that.
Was your high school mostly Asian, or?
I don't know. Yeah. Mm-mm. Oh, you know what? Probably the Mean Girl Asians. Like we had a lot of those Asians.
The ABGs, or?
Yeah, they were like super like. They were like, you can't sit with us Asians, like, unless you're wearing, like, something super designer and stuff like that.
Gucci, Prada.
Yeah, it was so crazy. They were so... No, I'm telling you, even though I'm Asian, we were so fucking mean in high school. Like, we're just the fucking meanest. Like, we're fucking devil children. Because there's a lot of pressure to be doing well in high school. Mm. And also the pressure of just looking good and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's not an excuse. You're a fucking evil-ass Asian. I fucking hate you, high school Asian.
Yeah, for me, I went to a different high school from where I went to elementary and junior high. So I went to public school, elementary, junior high. Actually, I got along with everyone well. It's a very multicultural area. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say it's a bit on the rough side. Kind of. I'd say it's like half and half. So a little bit rough, but not like totally... hood or anything like that.
Not like Union City Asian. It's like hella like not rough, but they're like, oh my gosh, Union City is so rough.
Yeah. They try to think.
I hate when I'm sorry. I love you, Union City people, but like you guys are not fucking hard. That's the biggest. That was like the biggest like joke ever. Like, what's that one movie where like the white guy pretends to be.
Malibu's Most Wanted?
Yeah.
Jamie Kennedy, right?
Union City
Malibu's
is like the epitome of Malibu's Most Wanted. It's the epitome of Malibu's Most Wanted. Like, you guys are not fucking hardcore. I'm like, sorry, not sorry. Stop being a liar.
Well, I grew up in Hayward, so I guess, is that any harder?
Yeah, we had. I mean, nothing to be proud of. We had a murder here. we had a lot of murders here.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's like, but I'm like, why am I proud of that? Like, it's not being like. Why am I proud of that?
It gives you more street cred, right?
No, it doesn't. I don't want to have murderers.
So anyhow, so I went to Hayward Public School until middle school. Then after that, my parents sent me to the private Catholic school.
Yeah.
So after that, I mean, it wasn't a terrible experience, but it took me a while to get my bearings straight because I didn't really have any friends there. All my friends were from public school, and then the demographic was totally different as well. Like public school is very multicultural.
Yeah.
There's Black, Hispanic.
Yeah.
Asian, Southeast Asian, but at the Catholic school, it was mostly white and Filipino. Basically, that's it.
I'm sorry. That's what I'm saying. This like we got a lot of bougie ass Asians, Filipino, Chinese, Japanese. Trust me, you got bougie in them all. Stop trying to say that one Asian is harder than next. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all fucking bougie. Except for the Chinese though. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all be living like the most ghettoest areas I've ever seen in my whole entire
East
life.
Oakland. And,
like all the time, which is totally cool.
Vietnamese too.
Yeah, Vietnamese.
So you go to like
Vietnamese
international, like you know how there's in Oakland there's a regular Chinatown and then there's the international. Oh, thanks. Oh, thank you, sir. Didn't even finish.
Here you go.
Busy talking too much.
Here, got some the Asian pancakes.
Oh
in
yes,
there.
yeah, that was so good.
Put a little bit of the sauce in here.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so as I was saying, like there's that section that's south. South of Lake Merritt, like the international area, that other Chinatown.
Yeah,
that area is pretty rough, and the Asian people there, Chinese, Vietnamese, like they don't give a crap. They're living there, and
they don't.
You won't mess with them either. So I think it's something cultural where a lot of them did go through the war. Or a lot of them that came from...
Well, y'all be wearing, like, pocketbook protectors as Asians and still walking the hood all the time. Like, you guys are so gangster sometimes. The Chinese, I'm sorry, they are.
Well, Thai people are pretty tough, too, right?
Yeah, we know Muay Thai.
Yes, right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
And I'll just enforce that stereotype because, like, I don't want you guys to fucking mess with me. So I'm like, yeah, I fucking know Muay Thai, people. People, I know Muay Thai, okay? Don't mess with this Thai guy.
Yeah, no.
Umbak, that's
Tony
my
Jaa.
brother.
That's right.
That's right. Fucking ride elephants and shit like
protector.
that. Yeah, his uncle's a Monkey King. Don't want to mess with him. We know Bruce Lee. That was our uncle.
Well, the funny thing, see, if people stereotype Chinese, Asian, Thai people in general for knowing martial arts, why do they pick on them? Right? So it goes both ways, right? So I got picked on. Hey, people called me Bruce Lee. And they say, hey, you know Kung Fu, right? Okay, so you're going to egg me on if I actually do know Kung Fu? Or are you saying that I don't know it? Or do you really think I do know it? Like, what is it, right?
Yeah.
So, especially for you, you're so much bigger than the average person. Then they wouldn't mess with you. I mean, tall. Like, not just, you're tall for not just an Asian, just for the average person you're tall, right? So I don't know if they want to mess with you. I'm a smaller guy. So maybe they could pick on me and say things like that. But I don't think anyone would openly walk up to you and mock you in the same way that they would a smaller guy like me.
You know what's funny is that guys never really mess with me, but girls were like the mean girls. Like for me as a gay man, they was like, "Oh, girls are the best." I'm like, no, girls were like the fucking meanest in like middle school and high school. The guys were like the nicer ones.
Yeah.
But there's definitely mean girls. Like that's why I think that there's definitely toxic femininity because like. Some girls can be mean as fuck. I'm sorry. Crazy mean. They're the ones that would always like get on your case and stuff like that. I didn't like it at all. Because there's definitely nice girls. Like I love the nice girls, but there's some mean girls out there too as well.
Oh yeah, of course. But then you can't blame people when they're in high school because I think looking back, all of us when we grew up, we look back and say, man, what were we thinking, right? Like this is how we treated people and how we acted.
No, I blame you. I blame you. You have to understand that demons are coming for you, and you deserve it. You've cursed yourself. Understand this. Things are going to happen that are bad and negative along your way. Don't be mean to anyone.
Yeah, no, of course, don't be mean, but just things in general that maybe you did something when you're younger, and you look back like, what was I thinking? Why am I doing that, right? Like, it's just... So, I mean, we all have those. It doesn't have to be anything major, nothing heinous, right? Just something we did in high school or in our youth. Like, maybe we thought something was funny when we were kids, right? Like, say, people shooting a BB gun at a cat, right? As a kid, maybe you might think that's funny. As an adult, you're like...
No, I don't. That's so damn fucking evil.
Okay,
what kind of demon ass children are you running into? Psychopath children?
Okay, not that. Burning ants with a magnifying glass.
That's even worse.
You don't know anyone who's done that?
At least the person can survive. You're just fucking burning ants alive.
That wasn't... I'm not saying I did that. Those are
you have too many white kid friends. You do.
Yeah, that is very true, yes. Yeah. But, also speaking of which... Oh, I'm good, yeah, thanks.
Just a little bit more.
Okay, thank you. But I think... You know how if the world was more like how we were in junior high, it'd be a better place? Because in junior high, there weren't any racial cliques, right? You hung out with everybody. I remember my friends in high school. Junior high. I had white friends, Mexican, black. But then once people go into high school, they splinter off into their own ethnic groups. So you have the Chinese club, the African American. Everyone has their
Asians
own
are the
cliques.
meanest. I'm sorry. Like we are such bullies in high school. Like we do. So the problem is that we do undercover bullying. So no one knows that we're bullies. We will secretly call your job or like whatever scholarship we have and be like, this person is not a good candidate. Like we'll say things to ruin your fucking life. Like, I'm sorry. Like if people say, oh yeah, Asians are so cool. Like they're the sweetest ones. No, we're not. It's like, no, we're not. We all bully. Okay. We all bully. It's that people bully in a different way.
Well, I don't know. Speak for yourself, pal.
What?
I never did stuff like that.
No, not you.
Okay.
I'm saying just Asians in general. Some of us can bully really hard. That's why Asians are in Mean Girls. Because they were bullies too as well. But not all Asians, but some Asians are. There's like white bullies, black bullies, Asian bullies. Everyone bullies.
Yeah, it's true. And usually a lot of the bullies are the insecure ones, right? Like, why do you need to pick on somebody? Like, for what? There's no reason to. So they feel like, they try to invoke their superiority by picking on the weak. What does it prove, though, right? So you don't prove anything by beating up on someone weaker than you, right? You would, if you beat someone who's on the same level or higher, then yes, you prove that you're the man. But beating up a smaller person, that doesn't show anything, right?
It's for your own hell.
Yeah, and
It shows that you're a demon child, and bad things will come your way. I'm trying to really enforce
also,
not bullying, as you can tell right now in this like mukbang. I'm like, listen, if you bully, automatic hell trip. I'm never bullying again because I watch the Spirit Love channel. He told me I'm going to hell. I'm like, yep, that's right. Better be better to those people. Call them up.
10 years from now, when somebody was thinking about bullying and then they didn't do it and they interview them, that one podcast I watched, the Spirit Love, man, changed my life.
I remember Spirit Love telling me I'm going to hell. That's how I remember Spirit.
Yeah, I don't want to go to hell. So
yeah. Well, in Buddhism, okay, you don't have to follow this specific. Oh, it disconnected.
Oh, okay, shoot, okay. Well, that was a good one.
That was a really good one.